Oh, we're going? Okay. Welcome to episode 3. In this video, we're going over all of these things. The nice thing about this swap is that you actually have very little to modify to get your LS drivetrain to fit in a Miata. For starters, this bracing in the corner of your engine bay has to get cut out on both sides. Once it's cut out, you need some frame reinforcement brackets and you need to weld them in to compensate for the integrity that you just removed out of the car. I made my own out of some 10 gauge steel I had laying around, but otherwise you can get some pre-made brackets from either Flying Miata or V8 Roadsters. These brackets are also really cheap, which is a nice little treat. With this swap, the engine is also pushed back as far as it can go, and you'll need to do some light modifications to the transmission tunnel. There are some braces on the inside of the transmission tunnel that look like this, and it's recommended that you drill out the spot welds, remove the bracing, test fit your drivetrain, hammer accordingly to get clearance, then modify the mounts to fit again, and weld them back on. Could you just leave the brackets in place and hammer harder? Yeah, probably. For your front subframe, the first choice you have to make is if you want to modify your stock subframe or buy or build a tubular front subframe. This is going to depend on how much time and money you want to invest into this area. A modified stock subframe should look something like this, and it'll require you to have a certain amount of fabricating and welding skills. You'll still be required to fabricate your own engine mounts as well, and you're still going to be limited on your oil pan clearance and your exhaust clearance. I've seen a lot of guys use modified stock subframes like these in the LS community, and I've yet to hear of one bending or breaking. But just remember that you're cutting away a lot of the structure of that stock subframe to fit in that big LS, so it's something to be mindful of. Flying Miata, V8 Roadsters, Monster Miata, and, oh god, CX Racing all offer swap kits that come with a front subframe as well as a transmission crossmember. I cannot confirm the quality of the CX Racing kit. Actually, up until researching this video, I didn't even know that they sold a swap kit. The other three have really good reputations in the community and are tested and proven, whereas with the CX kit, I can't even find anyone in the forums or any reviews on their website for people using them. Since the price is really comparable, my suggestion is that you just go with one of the kits that people are actually using and know work well. V8 Roadsters also sells a tubular front subframe that doesn't come with engine mounts welded on if you're looking to use it for a more custom application or do something one-off. Now let's talk about what oil pan options we have. To get your LS engine to sit under your stock hood, your block has to sit really close to your subframe and your steering rack. This obviously is really going to limit our choices for our oil pans. Our first two options for oil pans are going to be either a V8 Roadsters or a Flying Miata LS swap oil pan. These have both been specifically engineered for this swap and are definitely going to fit, and they'll take a whole bunch of headache out of your swap. Only downside is they're pretty expensive. I also did quite a bit of reading to see if these will clear power steering racks, and it looks like the V8 Roadsters one will clear the power steering racks. However, I couldn't find a definite answer anywhere on the Flying Miata one. Monster Miata also has an oil pan on their website for about $400, but I can't find any information about how that fits or what subframe it clears. But if you're going with the Monster Miata full swap kit, check into that because it's a good way to save some money. The next pan option is going to be a Holley 302-2 oil pan. Some people say it fits, some people say they have fitment problems. This is really going to depend on what engine mounts you're using, what steering rack you have, what front subframe you're using. So if you want to save a couple bucks, you can look into this route to see if it works with your application. Another option is to use a Jag's Street and Strip pan, which looks like this. It sits really nice and low to the crank, and it looks like it has great clearance in pretty much every LS swap Miata that it's in. The only downside with this pan is that the oil filter doesn't screw onto the oil pan, and you'll need to use an oil filter relocation kit. Your last option is going to be to just modify any stock GM oil pan. Lots of guys start with an F-body pan because they're already pretty close, but this will just depend on what pans you have available and how crafty you want to get with your fabrication. Your transmission crossmember is going to be an easy one to take care of. All the brands we've been mentioning have their own transmission crossmember available, and if you want to make your own, it's just a pretty simple chunk of steel. Just make sure when you're mounting it that you have enough surface to clamp onto, because the stock Miata metal is not that thick. We've put some great tech articles in the description if you want more info on that. For mounting your differential, Monster Miata makes a great mounting kit for the 8.8. V8 Roadsters also makes a mounting kit, but like we said in the last video, that's for a GM Getrag diff. And I swore that Flying Miata had their own mounting kit as well, but I can't find it on their website. They started taking some of their V8 swap stuff off of their website, and you can only order it when you call in. So if you really want to deal with Flying Miata, then just give them a call. If you'd like to fabricate your own mounts for your 8.8, we put a great tech article in the description. This is tried and true, and it works really well, and you get that diff sitting exactly where you want it. Also, we've got a video of mounting the 8.8 in our own Miata. If you want to check that out, it's wherever Lucas puts it on this screen. Well, that covers all the stuff you need to know for mounting your drivetrain. See you in the next video where we go over your cooling and fuel systems.